Hi, I'm Gillian Utesch. I am the host of a Superwoman Handbook and the author of A White Collar Wife. A White Collar Wife is my personal story through love, loss, and joy. You can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you catch your podcast. So I started this story on March 16th, which is what I had defined in my mind as the day my marriage ended, the day my life changed. I don't think that's accurate. As I kind of think back through, I think it was December 1st of the year prior. When my husband and I were dating, one of the first dates he asked me to go on was a Chinese Lantern Festival. It was near where I was living at the time in my apartment, and I'd never been to it. And it just seemed very exotic and just, super exciting. We have been kind of joking about this Chinese Lantern Festival our entire marriage since we'd never gone. And it then translated into other things where the kids would get him a birthday gift to a local restaurant that he liked that worked really obscure hours, like the third blue moon of every third Friday. And of course, once they could coordinate all their schedules with work and school and such to go, it was the time they weren't open. So it was like the Chinese Lantern Festival just kind of kept being present in our life, which I thought was always funny. So we decided, okay, this year we're going to actually go. We're going to do it. And I was looking forward to it because I'd seen so many things online, video, like little reels and photos about it, and just looked really cool. And we had a Chinese exchange student living with us at the time. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll see something or learn something that will give me content and opportunity to connect with her on a more personal level. So we get there. And for those that don't know, my husband is an amazing photographer. He takes photos, not only are they visually gorgeous, the way that he captures them, they bring you into that space, that moment. They transcend space and time, I think is what I'm trying to say, is that you feel the energy as if you were there. And with many photographers' work, I never felt that. I never felt that I was truly engaging with the photo like I do with the ones that he would take. And actually, fast forward to the next August when he moved the second part of stuff, not when the stormtroopers were there, that's part A. Part B was when the actual movers came for the heavy things. And all of his artwork, his photographs had to go. And that was very hard for me because I truly enjoyed looking at them. I truly enjoyed kind of putting myself in that space, in that moment when he took the photo. Many of them were of places and buildings all over the world that I will never go to. And so to be able to experience it through the photo was something I really enjoyed. You should check out his photography, but I like to give credit where credit is due. And he can make some eggs, damn good eggs, and his photographs are amazing. But with that, when we would go places, our daughter would often sing that Meghan Trainor song, but with the words of, it's all about that shot, get the photo. He was always very purposeful about getting what time of day we would go to the fair or what time of day we would do things so that he would get the best photo. Now, at the time, it was very frustrating because I'm trying to balance life and all this kind of stuff. But now looking back, I'm so glad that he did that he pushed those moments, those memories, because I would have been like, oh no, my hair is not right, or it's too humid, or we'll do it next year. We'll come back next year and do it. I'm so glad that he pushed those photos because not only do I like having them, but they've become crucial evidence, as T Swift would say, that I just didn't imagine the whole thing. That the last 7 years of my life weren't a dream or a hallucination. I actually have photos, beautiful photos of those years. So I can't diss it entirely, but so we were at the Chinese Lantern Festival, and it was just kind of like we were going as a rain check from, 7 to 8 years before. And I really wanted, at that point, I was craving in our relationship a level of intimacy that just wasn't there. And we hadn't taken the time to develop it because I didn't know how. It's not something that we talk about. It's not something that we train our girls in 8th grade. Okay, here's how you develop into, and I don't mean sex, I mean emotional intimacy with someone. And so I was really craving that. And I wanted I just had these visions of us holding hands and skipping through the Chinese Lantern Festival, which was not there because our relationship wasn't at that place. But I just had visions of that happening. And we get there and he's taking photos. And I was just so used to it. I was like, fine, you go do you, boo. I'm going to be over here. I'm going to look at this, or I'm going to, to hang out and watch the street performers do their thing. You do you. And I thought at that moment, I can't do this anymore. I can't be in this marriage anymore because I wanted what I couldn't articulate. I wanted an intimacy that we didn't have, that I didn't know if it even existed. But I knew that living a life where he was taking photos at the Chinese Lantern Festival and I was kind of by myself was not one that I could keep doing. That said, if you are in that place now in your relationship, there are so many tools available for you. There are so many coaches that will work with you and your spouse to help you in a very comfortable way within your personal boundaries, within your childhood trauma triggers and your attachment style and all that. You can work together to get to that place where there can be balance. We can hold hands and skip through the Chinese Lantern Festival like what I wanted, but then also still providing opportunity for him to take photos. That life is possible. And so I did not know that. And in the spirit of a Superwoman Handbook, our goal is to share knowledge and actionable items. So do reach out, check out our guests, check out our episodes where we talk about those things. But that was definitely a strong moment in our marriage when again, the Chinese Lantern Festival, who would have known, I ended my marriage at the Chinese Lantern Festival. Like, I don't think anyone has said that on the planet. But that was when I really realized there's nothing here. Not to mean there could not be anything, but at that moment was when I really first felt it. As I think back through it, I don't think the Chinese Lantern Festival was the first time I thought, I can't do this anymore. My husband went on a cruise with our kids from his first marriage in October. And he was really, because he loves to travel. He's very adventurous. Like the fact that he hasn't like skydived off every mountain shocks me because he's just, fearless like that. And so they were going on a cruise and he and I had been on a cruise 2 or 3 years prior to that. And I got tremendously seasick. Being an introvert and also being on the spectrum, having that much stimuli around me it was just not enjoyable. I think I slept 2 nights on the deck, actually up on the Lido, because my seasickness was so overwhelming. Even though I had a patch on and, I had the little bracelet and I was sniffing the whatever. Um, and so I really hadn't had a great experience cruising the first time. And so when it came up that October, I was like, nah, dog, I'm out. Passing on that grass. I am not getting on a ship. I am not da da da. Da. And he really did try to advocate for the trip. That it was a bigger ship. I wasn't going to have the seasickness. That we'd get our cabin in a different location. And what ultimately the truth I knew in myself that I didn't know how to articulate or how to work on was that the thought of being in a cruise ship cabin with him for a week made me want to rip my hair out. Now, that should not be the reaction you have when you think about going on a trip with your husband. You should be like, oh, I'm really looking forward to it, or, this will be fine. And the reason was that he could be just such an asshole when he wanted to be. Made killer eggs, takes amazing photos, but could be just as big of an asshole. And the thought of being in that contained space with him, with that asshole trigger, I was like, it's not worth it. I'll just stay home by myself. And so that's how I handled that in that moment. But looking back, I should have taken that moment for what it was, the flag that it was, and really have dug in to why am I feeling that way? What can we do differently? How can we fix things? If we had gotten ahead of it then, it would have been a very different outcome later. And so I mention this to you in case you're having those feelings in your marriage and I just stuffed it down. I was like, oh, we've been together forever. You know, I mean, I just found all these reasons to validate my feelings in that moment of not wanting to go on the cruise with him. And I even so much told the kids, I was like, all right, you're both basically adults. Our daughter wasn't 18, but basically adults. And I said, okay, y'all are adults. If you're choosing to go on this cruise, good riddance to whatever. I don't want you to text me while you're gone, what an asshole he is. I don't want you to come back and have a meltdown. Because we've had this, and I want you to go and know what you're getting into. And of course, it's a free cruise. What kid's not going to go? But I also think it was really good for their connection and their bonding to kind of have that time together. But back if you find yourself having those feelings, you really need to take note of them because they are going to grow and develop into bigger things that then have a rippling effect to many people. Should you go through a divorce like what we did, where it impacts your finances, your kids, your family, your friends, get ahead of it early. You're not crazy. You're not imagining things. It is completely normal to want a relationship that is conflict free, where you feel loved and supported, and where you look forward to being around your partner. So, how did and I meet? We met through an online dating site. I don't remember which one, but it was not Tinder, but it was another one. And I had never done online dating before. I'd always met people the old fashioned way, getting drunk in at a bar and waiting in long lines to use the female's bathroom. That was how I had traditionally met all my partners. And now doesn't drink, so I would have never met him in a bar. So it really was kind of kismet that we had both decided to get on this dating app. And I really had zero expectations for it because my track record of picking out who I wanted to date, which was like 0 to 0. I don't know sports words, but I hope that made sense. So why would I think that a computer could do a better job picking a partner for me than I could do for myself, you know? But anyway, one of my friends really encouraged me to build a profile. And I think he actually built it behind my back now that I think about it, and kind of as a joke. And he's like, hey, you have a perfect match. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? We're talking about dress to shoes, like nails to dress. Like, what do you mean perfect match? He's like, no, you have a match on, let's just call it match.com because I can't remember the exact platform. That is 100% perfect match based off just the way we had answered the questionnaires, our Myers Briggs, our philosophy, our politics, just everything was a match. And I pull up his phone, I pull up the account, and I go, oh my God, this guy is hot. He had a killer body. I said had like he's dead. He's not dead. He still has a killer body. I was like, he has an amazing body. He's handsome as hell. And then I was like, all right, I'm still on the hook. And so I scroll down and I see, oh my God, he's also perfect on paper. He had great education, great job, just was in all the right kind of social and I thought to myself, this cannot be true. This has got to be one of those sock puppet accounts or something. Like, this person can't really be real. I was instantly smitten. And so then we kind of start engaging on the platform. And he says, hey, would it be too forward? This platform's kind of bulky, and he's in, user. I don't even, it's above my brain's ability to understand what he does for a living. You can follow him on LinkedIn if you want to find out more. But he's like, hey, this platform's kind of bulky, not really user friendly. Do you want to take this to text? I'm like, yes, thank God, because I couldn't handle the notifications and all that. So we start texting, and at that point, it's just kind of off to the races, as they would say. And so I then find out that he has, 2 kids from his previous marriage. And one of them, the younger one being a daughter. And I instantly thought, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. Like, just given my age at the time and so many things, not only did I think he was super hot, he looked good on paper, but he had a daughter. And at that moment, I was going to do anything to make sure this relationship moved forward and that we stayed together. I didn't care if I had to snap myself into. I was going to find a way to make this work. And I don't know. I don't know if would have seen well, when I did see the red flags, early on before we were married, because we weren't married until a year later. When I saw those signs, if I would have said, "Peace out, homie," like, "You're super hot, you look good on paper, but this just isn't really my jam. I'm gonna go pick somebody up who's drinking a Bud Light at the bar." Like, that's more, I don't know, but I do know because of his daughter, I was not gonna let go, and that is something that I do not regret at all. It was the best experience of my life, being able to have that opportunity, that engagement with her, and I knew, "Okay, this is probably the only time only opportunity I'm gonna have to be a mother, so I'm gonna crank this to 11. She is gonna have whatever she wants. She is gonna have every opportunity. I am gonna stop at nothing." And I don't know if that necessarily worked out for the best in the end because it facilitated the relationship with that I'm not sure was the best for him or myself. That said, super glad it happened and it was the best time in my life because I got to share it with. So what were some of the red flags at the beginning when we were dating? First of all, it was just his general assholeness. I wish I had a better way to describe it, but it was just he had a very intense way of being that kind of put me on edge every time I was around him. And I didn't even recognize it until after he left. Fast forward, and I'd kind of detoxed from it. I realized, gosh, I've been living in this really just I don't want to say nervous, but just kind of on eggshells for my last, 7 years. And I reflect back to when I first started to adjust. You can adjust to any normal. I'm just asking my chiropractor. When I first started to adjust to living like that, I went, "Ooh, I don't like this. I don't like how this feels." But his daughter was there. And so I got to be around her when I was around him. And so I quickly kind of silenced those feelings, those thoughts, those concerns. Another red flag was I proposed to him. He didn't propose to me, which is cool. Okay. If you're in a marriage and you propose to your husband, everything's cool. That's cool. But I should have taken that hesitation, that concern, that whatever it was that was in him that was causing him not to propose to me, I wish I had dug into it more. I wish I had really sat him down and gotten a better understanding for it. Because at the time, type A Jillian, I was going to get that square peg in that round hole and I was going to marry that man. Like there was no way around it. So I proposed to him. I bought my engagement ring. I planned our wedding. I paid for our wedding. Like I pushed it forward. And I really should have taken the time to pause and be like, dude, is this really what you want? Like, are you vibing on me? Like, I'm not saying I force married him. But it would be nice to know as I reflect back on all of this and I kind of package it, it would be nice to know how he felt at that time. Did he feel kind of stuck? Did he feel like I was pushing too hard? What was my EQ not where it should have been? Was I not letting him vocalize his concerns, his fears? Because I can be a lot. I know that. Like when I'm in full forward, I can be a lot. So or he may have been just completely fine with it and was like, okay, she's taking care of it, less work for me. But since we don't speak now, that is not something I can get resolution on. So I share that story so that if you're in that place in your relationship right now, if one of you feels like you are driving the timeline, driving the activities, pushing the other one, and there's maybe not reciprocity in just the global vibe, pause. Use that as an opportunity to have an uncomfortable conversation because it's much better to learn how to have uncomfortable conversations when you're in that phase of your relationship than it is to learn how to have uncomfortable conversations when you're in a truly uncomfortable phase of your relationship. It's told me that leopards don't change their spots. Don't think that you're going to make a friend with someone or marry someone and change them. Yes, but what's the song from Wicked? I'm changed forever, but not for good, or something like that. And so we can evolve. We can choose to kind of make edits to ourselves along the way, but that's our choice that we choose. I'm changed for the better. Oh, gosh, someone type it out for me in the comments so I can read it. Oh, okay. And so you can choose to make changes to yourself, but that is something you're choosing. There is no way, no how. I'm telling you, ladies, if you're out there thinking that you are strong enough, powerful, you will not change a man who does not want to change. And that was, I think, one of the hardest truths for me to accept as an adult, as a type A, as someone who kind of wants to curate their environment. And so when I met, he was already divorced, but in a high conflict custody situation ship with his ex. And we all know how that goes. I wish, looking back, I had taken better note of that, because that was his spot. That leopard likes to fight. That leopard likes high conflict. That leopard does not want to bend or compromise. But at the time, I saw it as, yeah, he's taking a stand against his crazy ex because she's crazy. Newsflash. We've all been the crazy ex in someone's story. And so my takeaway from that was, I should have looked at it more through a not, jaded lens, and seen what I was looking at, and also talk to her. I looked at her like, I don't talk to terrorists. We don't do this, because I was buying in and I was following the narrative. And so I wish that I had taken the time to really take inventory, because I'm going to be the crazy ex in his story. And I hope his next partner reaches out to me and asks me the tea. But we started our relationship in a very high conflict space, and we ended it in a very high conflict space. And that is not lost on me in any capacity. When I was interviewing folks on the podcast and just kind of learning about the nervous system and attachment style and all that stuff, I realized I would always tease during our marriage that he had a minimum daily quota of anger, of being upset with someone or feeling wronged by someone or not having gotten his fair share. And I would tease about that, but I didn't realize how real that was. That when your nervous system is used to this throttle of energy, of activity, it craves it, and you can rewire it. But the first step down from that is going to feel really weird, because that's not your homeostasis. You're used to being up here. And so as you step, just like any drug, any pain med that you're on, like as you're dropping yourself back, it's going to feel weird until you acclimate to that new normal. And I felt that feeling for myself. I heard about it in theory from the ladies on our podcast that shared it, but I'd never felt it myself until a few months after he left. And I could kind of start to breathe, that I caught myself in a moment not having something to feel anxious about, not having something that I was worried about, and I thought, is this okay? That was literally my thought. I asked myself, hey, self, is it okay to not feel like you are on the brink of bursting into feathers? And myself said, yes, it's okay not to feel like you're going to burst into feathers. And I went, okay, we're going to permit this to continue. And it only went more in that direction. Each day I felt less and less like I was going to burst into feathers. So it wasn't lost on me that as we went through our divorce, because, people would along the way, people would be like, who is this guy? What does he have nothing else to do? Why is he so obsessed with what? I was like, well, he loves me. And this is how he shows his love for me. But it was more so that he was repeating what he'd always repeated. He was keeping his nervous system at that high throttle level. So the takeaway from that story is to really do a true self assessment. Are you living in a high kind of throttle scenario, and why? Are you living like that because your partner creates an environment where you live like that? Or are you living like that because that's how you live your life. And then ask yourself, wow, what kind of an impact does that have on those around me? And what types of steps, coaching, guidance can I go through to lower that down? Because you can change your spots. I truly believe that if you want to change your spots, but you can't change the spots of someone else if they don't want to.